Welcome back. We've been together for 4 years, but we had some issues in the last 2 years. I gave him trust issues while I was being suspicious for stupid things. That was really nothing more than replying to a school friend, but deleting it, because I'm afraid it would make a fight at the end. Either I confess or he finds out, so I have to confess. He wasn't affectionate towards me at the end, and I was so depressed because I was doing nothing and was trying to prove to him that I'm good now and not hiding anything. One day I went on a trip with my friends and I met a guy who was so obsessed with me from the first sight. I kept pushing him away, but when I got back home, he followed me on Instagram and added me. So I posted about my boyfriend so he knows I'm taken. He still texted me, and I was still pushing him away and writing everywhere about my boyfriend. So I talked to him and told him I'm in a relationship, but we kept talking for hours and agreed to end things. But we talked again and again, and we started flirting and kind of dated while I was still with my 4 years boyfriend. We met and kissed multiple times. In the end, I confessed everything to my boyfriend, and I was really sorry and regretting. He was so shocked. He left me, and I went back to that trip guy for a week while my boyfriend was going through hell. But eventually, he called me and asked me to leave that guy and we should work on our relationship and have a new good start, and he would forgive me. It was going very well, but he started to have flashbacks and remember how I betrayed him and all the lies. So he brings it up every day and says he doesn't love me anymore, but he wants to keep trying. I really love him and would never hurt him again. And I will never look to any other guy, but he's still hurt. Now, 3 months passed and he still says mean things to me, but I keep saying he has every right to. I really want this to work, but he won't open his heart to me. He says it's too hard to love me again. What should I do? I won't play. I'm really regretting it so much. I want this to work. I really love him and I was so stupid to ruin it. And he told me he wants this to work. He's the one who called me to get back together. He wants to forgive me, but it's so hard for him and I know. How can I make it easier? How can I win his trust? Because I tried everything. I was so honest. I told him every detail. Anytime a guy approaches me, I tell him instantly. He's in pain being with you. Feels like he's losing himself. If you truly love him, it might be best to let him go. The breakup will be tough at first, but he'll eventually move on, especially since he's openly expressed that he no longer loves you. You messed up, which you own up to. It's time to leave the relationship so both of you can grow from this. Him taking you back while constantly bringing it up and making mean comments is emotionally manipulative. You won't learn anything from guilt tripping, and he won't heal from trust issues by seeking validation through guilt tripping you. Take the consequences of your actions and let him go. It's a tough situation. Me personally, if I caught a girl I was committed to dating cheating on me, I'd cripple the other guy. I'd stop before I did something I really regret, like killing him. But I'd mess the rest of his life up. So yes, it hurts to be the cheater and to be cheated on. But for now, I think you both really need to sit down and talk about what you both want. While yes, he does have a right to be angry, I would be too. Him continually saying mean things to you isn't good for either of you. He's suffering with you very much and losing his individuality. If you ever truly loved him, let him go. Break up would be hard for him at first, but he will eventually move on because he openly told you he doesn't love you anymore. I've been married for 6 years. My husband and I are both 28 years old. We knew each other in high school, but did not date until after. My husband is an incredible man. Kind, selfless, caring, hilarious, and the life of the party. Something I noticed about him right away is that he had a much lower sex drive than me. Because he was also my best friend, that seemed a small price to pay for the love and companionship we shared. It definitely hurt my feelings when I'd initiate sex and get turned down. But we talked about this a lot, and he said it was due to being tired from work. I understood because I'm tired from work too. About 3 years into our marriage, during a particularly dry spell, I accidentally walked in on him jacking off in the bedroom, scrolling through Reddit's Gone Wild sub. I was really upset because I'd just been turned down for sex moments earlier. It brought back a memory from when we'd first started dating, when I was using his computer and a bunch of porn came up. We were 17. I wasn't a porn user, and when I asked him about it, he swore up and down it was because his roommates borrowed his computer. To be clear, at this point in time, he knew that I was not a fan of porn. My views have shifted since then, and he knows that, as we've watched together occasionally. But he even had his roommate come to me and apologize, so I figured he was being truthful. Fast forward 6 years to the bathroom incident. I'm upset after remembering the first incident. It becomes obvious that he was lying, and he has been lying about the severity of his porn use for years. I bring this up and he admits that he lied about that and has continued to lie about using porn. I know it seems a small thing, but it felt like an enormous betrayal. I felt like I knew him inside and out. We grew up together, and knowing he felt he needed to lie to me, and also that he prefers to get off without me, broke my heart. I think that began a shift in our relationship. I eventually forgave him, but I stopped seeing him as my soulmate whom I could fully trust and knew everything about. I know that was a naive viewpoint from the start, but it felt like a huge change. I started feeling less desired by him. And even though he made somewhat of an effort to be more sexual with me, the whole situation just changed how I felt about our relationship. And I've been struggling ever since to figure it out. Last year, I got a new job in Georgia. We had been wanting to move somewhere warmer anyway, so we decided to give it a go. While I was here, I made a new friend. Most of my friends are men, and my husband is equally close with all my friends, so it never felt out of the ordinary. However, I found myself becoming attracted to this friend, and I started to keep how close we were becoming a secret from my husband. I know that it felt like I was being sneaky and a cheater even then, but it made me feel so good to be understood and comforted by someone who hadn't hurt me. Meanwhile, my husband is being loving and basically trying his best to make me happy. I grew more distant. I felt so guilty about this and mentioned to my husband that I wasn't sure we should stay together anymore. I knew I wasn't treating him as well as he deserved. I was feeling a bit trapped and wish I hadn't settled down so soon after high school. I'd never been with any other men before. Although he had been with about 7 girls before me, I never held this against him, and it truly didn't bother me. It just made it so he didn't fully understand how I was feeling about not having those experiences. I wish I hadn't gotten married so young. I told him these things. I know it hurt him. He said he wanted to be with me no matter what. He said he'd be willing to let me sleep with someone else if it was that or me leaving him. I said I didn't want to do that. I have no interest in letting him do the same, and I don't feel it'd be fair otherwise. I also don't want my marriage to be like that. Although I know the arrangement works for others, I end up flirting more and more with a new friend. We have sex once. The sex sucked. We're still friends, and I'm worried he's falling for me a little. I'm worried I'm attached because of the sex or because of the closeness of our relationship. I value the friendship, even though I know it's not healthy. I've been able to be so open with him in a way that I no longer feel I can be with my husband. The worst part is, I know I could just leave my husband. I love him so much though. He is my best friend, other half, and a huge sense of security for me. I know I'm so selfish. I know that the way I love him isn't a good type of love. He deserves somebody so much better than me. I haven't told him that I cheated. I was cheated on multiple times in my first relationship, and it screwed me up in so many ways. I'd rather leave and not tell him if it comes to that. I really don't know what to do. I want to salvage my marriage, and I know that if I told him, he wouldn't leave. But that just makes me feel even worse. Do I have to be honest to make this right? Where do I go from here? I guess I worry that coming clean is a selfish way for me to ease my guilt, especially since I'm quite certain he wouldn't leave. When I was cheated on, it caused a lifetime of insecurity that I still battle every day. But coming clean is probably the best thing to do. I was in your shoes once. Think you feel bad now? Just wait until you see your husband's face when he finds out. It's going to get so much worse for you. Sorry. Stop feeling guilty. No one's perfect. You should come clean to your husband. Think about an open marriage. This way you get to stay together without having all these sexual frustration. He gave you a way to satisfy all the doubts and desires to have an open relationship, even if it was just for a bit, but you decided not to. Then you go ahead and sleep with a close friend behind his back. Don't know what else to say except that what you did is awful. Tell him what you did and cut off ties with the friend so he can decide whether he wants to stay with you or no.